Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host, Fondue. In this week's episode, in honor of President's Day, we're going to talk about presidents and cheese.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to talk about big cheese.
Who's a big cheese?
We're going to talk about the Catchathon.
Catchathon?
And of course, we're going to tell a very cheesy joke.
So cheesy.
Stay tuned for episode number 14 of Just Cheesy, the podcast. So cheesy, do you know what Monday is?
President's Day, right?
That's right. Monday is President's Day. So can you guess what we're going to talk about today?
Presidents and cheese, duh.
That's right. And we've got quite a long list of cheese and presidents.
Who's first?
George Washington, of course. Most of our presidential food information comes from foodtimeline.org, American presidents' favorite foods. According to this website, it says that George Washington enjoyed fresh cheese and almonds, as well as cheesecake and snow.
Snow?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what they meant by that as well. So I Googled it. I came across a website called vivianpangkitchen.blogspot.com. And of course, she's got a recipe for something called snow cheesecake.
Okay, that's new.
Evidently, it's a regular cake with cream cheese frosting. And on top of that, they shred cheddar cheese.
Okay, I won't knock it till I try it.
Good call, Cheesy. Next, we have John Adams, and he liked Parmesan cheese. Thomas Jefferson liked Parmesan and cheese pudding.
First we have snow, now pudding?
Yep, that's right. So, of course, I had to Google cheese pudding.
What'd you find?
According to a website called nibbleanddine.com.
Nibble.
According to this website, it's very much like a bread pudding. It's made with soft white bread, shredded sharp cheddar, eggs, milk, and Worcestershire sauce.
That sounds pretty good.
Next up, we have President James Monroe. He liked sweet cheese cakes.
Sweet cheesecakes?
Well, the way it reads here, they talk about sweet cheese cakes, not sweet cheesecakes.
Bet you had to Google that one too.
It referred to something called chess cakes, which were the sweet cheesecakes. According to the website Dictionary of American Regional English, chess cake, it's a tart with a rich filling consisting of eggs, butter, sugar, and occasionally curdled milk.
Ew.
It says here you would boil a quart of cream or milk with 8 eggs. You would beat well and stir until it is a curd.
Interesting. Who's our next president?
Andrew Jackson. He was known to eat cheese and grapes.
Yum.
Then we have William Henry Harrison, and he was known to eat cheese and hard cider.
Also yum.
It says that Abraham Lincoln's wife, Mary Todd, learned how to prepare cheese. It says here that Grover Cleveland liked Swiss cheese. Woodrow Wilson liked something called cheese straws.
We had snow and pudding, and now we've got straws.
According to the YouTube channel Woodrow Wilson Presidential Library and Museum, there is a video called How Do I? Woodrow Wilson's favorite cheese straws.
What's it about?
The recipe is basically shredded cheddar cheese, butter, and flour, and they make this into a dough. It's then rolled to about a 1/4 inch thick and cut into strips and then baked for 8 to 10 minutes, and it becomes a snack.
That sounds so good. Who's up next?
Up next is FDR. He liked fruit and cheese as a dessert.
Okay.
We have Dwight D. Eisenhower, who liked Midwest cheese with pears or apples.
Yum.
We have JFK, who liked grilled cheese.
Classic.
We have Richard Nixon, who especially liked cottage cheese. The first White House dinner for the family was 4 steaks and a bowl of cottage cheese.
Okay, simple.
And there's something interesting here that says that he liked his cottage cheese with ketchup.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, yeah. I am right there with you. I am looking at pictures of cottage cheese and ketchup, and it is exactly what it sounds like.
Let's move on.
Next, we have Jimmy Carter. He liked ham and cheddar, grits and cheddar, and chicken stuffed with cheddar.
Gotta love cheddar.
We have Ronald Reagan, and he liked mac and cheese.
Yum.
We have Bill Clinton, and he liked cheeseburgers.
Yum.
We have George W. Bush, and he liked grilled cheese. President Barack Obama liked Meadow Valley handmade jack cheese.
Fancy.
President Donald Trump liked quarter pounders with cheese.
Not fancy.
And President Joe Biden likes to have sliced cheese on hand at all times, and he also likes grilled cheese.
Yum and yum.
So there you have it, presidents and their cheeses.
President Cheese, not a sponsor.
But if they were, their ad would go right here. So, Cheesy, I've got a couple more stories about presidents and cheese.
You said we were going to hear about a big block of cheese.
That's right. We're going to start first by talking about Big Block of Cheese Day. Now, this is a fictional holiday inspired by the show The West Wing.
Really?
Apparently, the Obama administration brought this tradition into the real world. It was a virtual affair. You could join on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr, and you could use the hashtag Big Block of Cheese Day and send your questions to the White House.
That's interesting.
What's even more interesting is the West Wing show actually got a little bit of history right. According to theatlantic.com, the West Wing show talked about an enormous piece of cheese that a former president had shared with American citizens.
Ooh, tell me more.
In 1835, Colonel Thomas Meacham, a dairy farmer in Sandy Creek, New York, created 10 cheeses. The biggest of these was 4 feet in diameter and 2 feet tall.
Holy cow.
No kidding. And it weighed nearly 1,400 pounds.
Whoa. Holy cow.
They say the Colonel's gift was both a blessing and a curse. It was, on one hand, all that cheese, on the other hand, all that cheese.
Oh, yeah.
One person described it as being an evil-smelling horror, and that the aroma stretched for several blocks beyond the White House itself.
Ew.
It says here that the president tried to give some of the cheese to friends and family, but that barely left a dent. So he put it on display at the White House. About 10,000 visitors came.
10,000.
They were armed with knives and appetites.
Okay.
They carved the cheese.
Yep.
They ate it. And in 2 hours, it was gone.
Wow.
Jackson's then Vice President Van Buren said he had the hard task of getting rid of the smell of that cheese.
Ew.
In the room where it was cut, they had to air the carpet for many days.
Oh.
They had to take the curtains out.
Oh.
They had to paint and whitewash before they could get the smell out.
What?
Jackson wasn't the only president to get a big block of cheese.
Really?
This cheese goes to Thomas Jefferson, and it was dubbed the Mammoth cheese.
How big was this one?
Well, this one was 4 feet in diameter and 18 inches tall and weighed 1,234 pounds.
So almost as big.
This cheese was created by the people of Cheshire, Massachusetts. It was likely inspired by their British counterpart. And it says here that the cheese was created by combining the milk of every cow in town. According to one newspaper, over 900 cows.
Holy cow.
The cheese was initially planned as a gift for the spring, but it had to move in the winter because it was so big. It was a 500-mile trip by sleigh and wagon, and it took over 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
From Massachusetts to New York.
3 weeks.
Unlike Jackson's cheese, Jefferson's cheese stayed at the White House for more than 2 years.
Oh, dear.
They don't give a precise date for when the cheese was ultimately disposed, but it says it was actually at the president's house the following New Year's Day. And they said it was far from being good at that point.
Ew.
I'm ready for my favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
What's the cutest thing you can think of, Cheesy?
Fuzzy animals.
NewYorkPost.com has an article about dogs and cheese.
Aw.
Scottish photographer Carolyn Cowan raised tens of thousands of dollars for hungry animals with her images of dogs catching cheese cubes.
That sounds so cute.
The event is called Catchathon. It is on the 26th and 27th of February, and it aids dog food banks of Central Scotland.
Go, Carrie.
Details can be found on the Facebook page of Carrie Southerton Photography.
I love animals and cheese.
Me too, Cheesy.
Is it time for a joke fondue?
You betcha. What did bread say when cheese tried to sit on it?
I have no idea.
You must think I'm crackers.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's bad.
Nope, it's a little bit cheesy. Thanks for joining us on Just Cheesy the Podcast. We can't wait for you to listen to us next week for episode number 15.
Stay cheesy, everybody.